Hello, and how are you? Thought I'd start the day out with reading a little bit of a story that way back in the beginning of my life. Way back when I was a little kid, well, let's go a little bit further back than that. I was born right here in St. Charles, Missouri, and I guess I spent the beginning of my life in a large subdivision called Powell Terrace, where we lived in a two-bedroom apartment. It's weird. I only grew up there for 3 years. There, but I do have some recollections of riding a red tricycle, or at least somebody was riding a red tricycle. And I also remember some ducks, little yellow ducks. Now I may remember the ducks because of the pictures in the family photo album. Well, correct that. In the family box of slides. That just gives you an idea of how old I am. Now, slides. Now, if you don't know what a slide is, slides are these little cardboard things with a photo negative in them. And not only did you have slides, but you also had a slide projector for viewing those slides. And then you had to have a screen. Now, a screen is kind of a like upside down window shade. Oh no. A window shade is a round cylindrical object that goes at the top of your window frame and has a long piece of wood wrapped with a flap of the material around it and a drawstring right in the middle so that you can pull it down. It's spring loaded so that it will roll back up again. Anyway, back to the screen. It had its own stand that was a folded mast on which to draw the screen up and hang it at the top. Now I gotta scroll down just a little bit here. Thank you for sticking with me. Therefore, you could view the slides. Now, the ducks' names were Frisky and Pokey. But then we moved. And where we moved was a smaller subdivision. It was called Heineman Subdivision. I was 3 then. And of course, the ducks grew up, and became white. And now, in the new subdivision, it was more of a rural area, meaning that some folks had large gardens. And our neighbors across the street, well, they had corn in their garden, and ducks being ducks, with minds of their own, decided that it would make a great snack. Our neighbors were not real thrilled with that idea. And so much for Frisky and Pokey. I'm not exactly sure whatever became of them, but at my age now, I can believe they probably tasted pretty good. That was one of those short stories I've been writing on. Not finished with it by no means, but I figured I'd give you a little shot of it. Yeah, it was a wonderful neighborhood there, Heineman Subdivision. As I was growing up, I had a chance to. It was gravel road, and I had a chance to live back where you could spread out, where you could get out and get around the neighborhood. Well, we had a 3/4 of an acre lot, which wasn't very big compared to the rest of the lots in the neighborhood. But at the back end of our house, there was a chunk of woods that spread out for about maybe 150 yards back, and then there was uh, a field which was most of the time it was wheat or straw. And anyway, after that there was another hunk of woods, and then there was a park. McNair Park was back that way, a creek. You had to go across the creek, and there was some old barns back there, and a house with two little old ladies that lived in this house. I don't know how old they were, but they seemed like they were in their 70s and 80s when we first moved in out there, but they kept hanging around, that's for sure. Anyway, they were the Bull sisters, and I used to deliver papers back there to them, but that's getting ahead of myself. That was years later. Anyway, when I was 3 years old and living out there on Heineman, I did receive a yellow tricycle. Now that I do remember riding. It was big. It was a big tricycle. Maybe I was 5 years old when I got that. And my brother, he got for his birthday, he got a Sears and Roebuck bicycle, and it had ram horns. Now these were curly ram horns, not like you see on 10-speed bicycle, but these were ram horns, like they curled up and around, and they were pretty cool looking. But yeah, he rode that bike for quite a while. That was a gold-colored bike too. So he had a gold-colored bike, and I had a gold-colored tricycle. And being a gravel road, you could ride out on the road and wouldn't have to worry about traffic that much because people weren't going that fast. And of course, they would always be watching out for the kids because there was a lot of kids in our neighborhood. Well, we had our next door neighbor, little Kevin, was over there, and then he had a little brother named Carrie at one time, so it was Kevin and Carrie next door there, and we used to always have fun with them. We would build go-karts and stuff like that. And then there was the boys up the road that I used to hang out with all the time. Tim and Pat, yeah. Those were my buds there, Tim and Pat. We used to get in all kinds of trouble together. You know how kids are. It's when you're out playing and you're playing so hard that you forget what time it is, and you don't end up at the house in time, and that sort of trouble. Nothing major, Every now and again you could get in some real trouble, but it wasn't real trouble. It was just kid stuff trouble. Playing where you shouldn't have been playing, doing things you shouldn't have been doing, but all kids grew up doing that. Just anybody never knew about it, never found out about it until later on, when you was old enough that it didn't matter no more. That's where I come in. I have a little few stories that'll kick back, and my parents will be looking at me funny when they watch this blog, but not this one in particular, because I don't have any trouble right now. This is way back when I was too young to get in trouble. Well, I say too young to get in trouble. You're never too young to get in trouble, because I remember things like we had bunk beds in our bedroom, and they were separated apart because they was put together, one on top of the other. Now, actually, at this point in time, I don't remember whether I had bunk beds or not. Pretty sure I had bunk beds, flat bunk beds, because, well, one time my mom was making bread dough, or pie crust or something, and we got a hold of some of it, and we was playing in the bedroom, and we put it on the wall. And, well, back then, that pie crust had a pie dough there. It had oil in it, and if you stuck that on the wall, it would soak into your paint, and you'd have spots on your wall, paint spots. You'd have oil spots on your wall, and no matter how many times you painted, it'd still be there. There'd always be oil spots on the wall. And, well, our bedroom at the time was pink. We had a pink bedroom for 2 boys. We had a pink bedroom, but whatever the case, it stayed pink for years, and then it finally got painted white. Now, we had a basement. Well, I tell you what, that basement was scary. You'd go down them stairs, and we had furnace down there, and that thing would kick on, and if you turned off the lights, you know the booger man was going to get you, so you turn off the lights, and you fly for the stairs to get up them stairs before the lights would kick on. But if you were down there and you'd turn the lights out, and that furnace kicked on, and you go, and boy, I tell you what, you'd fly up them stairs. You wouldn't even have to hit a step. You'd be up at the top flat there, before you know it, and the lights would be off, and you'd be scared, and you'd be panting out of breath. It was just a blast. I tell you what, you could have some. You can have some good old stories about just trying to come up out of the basement with that there furnace kicking on down there. But anyway, that's getting away from being in that neighborhood. I grew up there in the woods most of the time, you know, because when you have an opportunity to get into the woods, you go. I mean, we played all kinds of stuff. We played covered wagon, so riding down the back of the hill in a flexible flyer wagon, and then everybody's throwing spears and stuff at you because you're an Indian, and you're a cowboy and you're a covered wagon, and they're Indians, and they're throwing spears at you. I remember one time I got hit right here in the side of the cheek, right there, real close to my temple, and it put a scare into us. We thought I might really messed something up, but I was all right. I ended up all right. You know, that's one of them things. You just go through life having little episodes of situations like that. Like I remember one time, when we first moved out there, we had a whooping willow tree, and the thing was only about, I don't know, 6 feet tall when we first moved out there, and we would have mom and dad would have all their friends over and stuff like that for bonfires and stuff. And we had some friends that had a daughter that was about my brother's age and a daughter that was about my age. And this one time they were having a bonfire out back, and they had big old tractor tire painted white, and they'd build the fire with inside that tractor tire. Well, they were all outside, and somehow or another, me and the little girl, we were in the bathroom. We got locked in the bathroom, and we couldn't get out. We were trying to beat on the window, and nobody would ever come to get us out of the house. So we were just locked in the bathroom together. I mean, we didn't do anything. We were only three years old, but we was scared. We didn't know what to do. But anyway, that was today's story. So I'll tell you another one tomorrow. But I'm gonna have to go ahead and cut her off here because we're running out of time again. You know how it goes. Whenever you're having a good time, time flies. Anyway, it's Shenandoah. Hello, and how are you? Good night, and God bless you. We'll check you tomorrow. Bye.